should flip a coin. They got the trophy waiting for me where I'm going. Put that banner up. The skills here are so intact. I travel to the future when I step back. Hang time like the dock and you might be stacked. But to stop what we got, man, you might need Shaq. They think our confidence is arrogance, but that's just fact. Destiny yelling how we look if we don't scream back. We are cream of the crop, the top tier. That's why they beating on the drums, cause the champs in here. Yeah. Ready. Yeah. I'm hungry. Oh, just look at that piece. Yeah. Come on. You were never getting on our level. We go here, we would never settle. Trophies raised high here, we call it heavy metal. Giving no breaks, yeah, the feet on the pedal, top three. Up for any challenge you bring. See the results of the last group that challenged the team. Efficiency is high when you challenge the ring. Matter of fact, hold his L and clean. You deserve it. We don't just dominate, we serve it. No guesswork here, we certain. You see the wins and start flirting. We put a ring on it, where's the curtains? Ready. They got me saying I'm hungry. Just look at that feast. Yeah. You were never getting on our level. We go here, we would never settle. Trophies raised high here, we call it heavy metal. Giving no breaks, yeah, the feet on the pedal, top three.
They couldn't wait one goddamn minute to go back to brunch. You got people celebrating in the streets about Joe Biden being elected. What are you celebrating? This guy bombed us. This guy bombed my country. He destroyed the Middle East. He locked up millions of black people in America. Don't you have any goddamn empathy? Don't you have any compassion? Don't you have any common sense? Has everyone lost their collective fucking minds? This guy spent his entire life trying to screw over the working class, trying to screw over people of color. This is malarkey. We're not done. The malarkey does not stop. We are on the malarkey train, all aboard. Why don't you go look at pictures of kids in Iraq, in Fallujah, born with birth defects because of the war that Joe Biden started, and come and tell me about what decency is. You war criminal rehabilitating motherfuckers. Who's going to keep the drone strikes going? He's going to keep the wars going. He's going to keep the sanctions going. He's going to keep locking up black people. He's going to keep pushing neoliberal policies. He's going to keep giving out corporate bailouts. He's going to keep screwing over the middle class. What is wrong with you? You should be fucking crying, not celebrating. And we already know what the next 4 years are going to be. Anyone who criticizes the Biden-Harris administration, anyone who opens their mouth about corruption, about imperialism, about war crimes, they're going to call them foreign agents. They're going to use the Russiagate playbook against them. Oh, you're a Putin puppet. Has everyone lost their collective fucking minds? Unity. This is ridiculous. We're not done. They got rid of Trump, and now they've given you the architect of the system that gave you Trump. Unity. He brings unity to the table. Look, see? Got the unity ring on? Unity. Nothing to worry about. Unity. It's okay. Unity. You don't need healthcare. The planet can burn. People in the Middle East can keep dying. We'll keep locking up black people. Police can keep killing you. It's okay. Unity. It's okay. Unity. Be quiet. Shh. Unity. And if Joe Biden doesn't do what you want, doesn't matter. Unity. Look, Orange Cheeto Man is gone. Unity. Unity. It's nauseating. It really is. This is malarkey. We're not done. The malarkey does not stop. We are on the malarkey train, all aboard. You know, AOC seems to think that anyone who criticizes Biden is privileged. I didn't know that 12 million Syrians who are starving under sanctions are privileged. Biden's stealing Syria's oil like a pirate. That's privilege. Bombing Syria, that's privilege. Why don't you ask Julian Assange how privileged he feels that Biden is continuing to persecute journalists? Has everyone lost their collective fucking minds? This is ridiculous. We're not done. I mean, these politicians are literally starving their own, they're starving others, they're killing, they're bombing, and then they have the fucking nerve to say that our critiques are privileged. Thank God the cabinet is diverse. I'm so happy that a rainbow cabinet just bombed my country. Thank you so much. Unity. Thank you. Thank you. Liberals, thank you. You know, you want to talk about diversity? There's nothing diverse about Joe Biden's cabinet. These people are imperialist scum. These people serve corporations. They're fucking droids. It's a continuation of every other administration before it. They support the corporations. They support the wars. They screw over the working class. That's not diversity. This is ridiculous. We're not done. How can you sit there as a rational adult and tell me that this guy is any better? It's okay, right? Because Donald Trump is gone. The Orange Cheeto Man is gone. Now we can have pink bombs. Unity. unity. We can have, rainbow colored drones, right? Here we go again. Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Cult. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Go back to brunch. Everything is okay. The kids are still in cages, right? You're not going to get your student debt canceled. You're not going to get a $15 minimum wage. You can go and fuck yourself. Unity. But hey, the bombs are pink. So it's nauseating. It really is.
I've been muted. Gotta start over. Why I keep muting my motherfucking microphone? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my goodness. What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of The Good Faith Show. I'm your host, Andre Morton, and The Good Faith Show is only on the ATP Network. You can catch the ATP Network on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and Twitter. For some reason, I want to say Rumble. I don't know why. Not Rumble, Rockfin. I don't know why. I want to be on Rockfin so bad, but I guess, I guess we ain't big enough. We ain't prominent enough. Shameless plugs again on the bottom of your ticker. Follow the official ATP Twitter account at ATP Network 247. And also subscribe to my podcast, Real Recognize Real. Available on all major podcasting platforms. I'm everywhere. So check that out when you get a chance. But so yeah, how's my day today? Today was a weird day. Like I said earlier when my mic was muted. My mic was muted. My goodness gracious. I'm going to start a crowdfunding for my friend so she can buy Christmas gifts for her family. So when I get that together, I will let you guys know. Yeah. Oh man, I'm a mess today. I've been uploading clips. Yesterday there was no ATP After Dark. Some of our members couldn't make it, for personal reasons, and hell, I was supposed to be there, but hell, I was tired, man. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was tired. I work and I go to the gym. I don't want to wear myself out, but I needed my rest, so I couldn't make it either. So hopefully next Tuesday night at 9:00 Eastern time, that's when it usually starts. I might go join. I might pop in there for a few minutes. So. Richard Merhurst, man, that video still resonates to this very day. Only difference is replace Joe Biden with Kamala Harris if she wins. Like, same shit's gonna continue. More wars, more genocide. More Americans I mean, more suffering of the American people. Like, I mean, what? I mean, like, that's crazy. Like, if Kamala wins, Trump wins too. But we talking about liberals, them are dummies right here in this instance. Like, yeah, more of the same. You know, I'm gonna continue to play this video. This video is from 3 years ago, which is crazy, but it's so true, man. I had it saved on my phone, and I came across it one day. I said, "Hell, I just play this on my show from time to time." So, shout out to Richard Mears, man. I hope he's all right. I hate what happened to him. He went to jail for terrorism or some shit. He been out now for a while now. I guess he had to go to court and stuff like that. They need to throw that shit out. Like, Richard Mears is an investigative journalist. Like, journalist. I talk weird. He's an investigative journalist. Like, give me a fucking break. How is he a terrorist? Oh, he's a terrorist because he don't want to see innocent women and children in Gaza getting their head blown off. And speaking of that, I'm gonna show y'all something. You know, for the people that don't care, you know, that happening over there, it's not happening over here. Which what happened in Gaza will happen here. Like cop cities, you know, like that should be a red flag right there within itself. But okay, so yeah, man. Hope Richard Mears be all right. He do good work. I think the reason why he went to jail like that, I think they were trying to scare him to stop, you know, speaking truth to power. Like, you know, either it's the government or, you know, either the social media platforms, they suppress your content, you know. You know, it's just, you know, it's a whole lot of shit going against us, leftists that, you know, push truth to power. Like, you know, sometimes it can be disheartening because, you know, you think you know, I wouldn't compare this to, like, you know, being an athlete, but you know how athletes train so hard, you know, do the right things, you know, but they don't end up winning a championship or whatever. That's how I feel. Like, you put so much effort into this shit, like the streaming software, and then you gotta make thumbnails, and you gotta find articles to talk about. You know, if you got a network, you know, gotta keep them in the loop. So it's a whole lot of shit, and you know, sometimes you look at your views count on YouTube. Look, I know the ATP network is a small channel, I get that, but you know, some videos you satisfied, you got what 40 views for as small of a channel we got. Then some views, like one of my videos had only 4, and it just, you know, the suppression is real. Like, even, you know, even with the small accounts, man, like, it's hard out there sometimes, but you got to keep fighting, man. You can't quit. Starting anything, like even starting a Twitter account, like, you know, you start at 0, then you go from 1, then to 10, then to 100, then 500, then 1,000. You know, you got to grow. So that's all I got to say about that. So speaking of, damn, I got to bring it back, but the first story I want to talk about is, you know, I'm a black man, you know, and I live in America, if you don't know. You know, me as a black man, and I've been suffering from suicidal thoughts and depression half my life, man. Like, you know, I believe that, you know, I'm not worth anything. You know, then you got the system, you know, when I worked at jobs, people that was way less qualified than me took those over me, you know, and that made me feel a type of way, you know, just being black. Like, I've been racially profiled, you know. I had wild animals sicked on me, like animals sicked on me, the wild dogs and stuff, while I was jogging on a sidewalk, I guess in a white neighborhood, and then they didn't want me running in their neighborhood. You know, I said this on I think Ty Peasant's show, Chill Time. Yeah, I think I said it before, but I'm gonna repeat it. You know, yeah, man. I think I experienced everything you can as a black man. I never went to jail. You know, I didn't experience that, but everything else, man. Uh, yeah, it's been tough. I'm finna share this my screen right here. See, close that out. Uh, just seen. Uh, yeah, let me see. Okay. This is from the conversation. It says, Black men face high discrimination and depression even as their education and incomes rise. Well, I don't know about education and income. Well, I don't know about the income part, but um, us like I have a college degree, so it is rising. My dad had a high school diploma. My mama had a high school diploma, so I'm the first generation to graduate college in my immediate parent. So yeah, I just want to read this. I just came across this while I was looking for thumbnail images, and this is interesting. When this from? Wow, this was 4 years ago. It's probably even high now. It says here, I'm gonna make this bigger. Let me see. There we go for you guys. Are you highly educated and relatedly wealthy black man in the U.S.? Study showed, well, I am highly educated, I guess, but I'm not relatively wealthy. Studies show that we have done, and those by others show that are you at increased risk of discrimination and depression? Living in America in general brings depression and discrimination. Oh, hell yeah. Our research on the intersection of race and gender in the U.S. shows that while education and income reduces the risk of discrimination and depression for whites and black women, that's interesting right there. Um, so if you're a black woman and you in a higher income bracket, the chances are that you won't get depressed, obviously, because your ends are met. I believe generally it just ain't a race thing. Like everybody that lives in America, if their needs were met, depression would just drop down tremendously. I believe that. But also depression ain't always got to do with income and finances. It's a lot of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, on a lot of American minds, they look at their bank accounts and don't like what they see. So let me continue. It said, this is not so for black men. This underscores other research we have done that suggests black men are especially singled out as dangerous, threatening, and fickle. Oh man, about that part. Wow, that's what they do think though. They think that that's our stereotype, especially for black men. Like, we're thugs, criminals, we're wild, we rogue. All kinds of words to describe wild. But look at my face. Like, that's why I zoom my face in. Do I look intimidating? Like, I could get mean. Like, anybody get mean, but like threatening. I'm not threatening. I don't threaten nobody. Unless obviously if you come at me. But other than that, I'm not that evil. I'm not evil. Dangerous. I'm so dangerous. Yeah. Inferior. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people think black people in general are inferior. You know that's nothing new. I'm gonna continue reading here. The first author, Shervin Asari is a physician and an associate professor of family medicine at the Charles Audru University of Science, Medicine and Science. Many of his studies have documented that black men still face depression, which could stem from discrimination even when they achieve traditional measures of success. Mm. The second author, Tommy J. Curry, is a philosopher and holds a personal chair of Africana philosophy and black male studies at the University of Edinburgh. He is the author of The Man Not, Race, Class, Genre, and Dilemmas of Black Manhood, which won the American Book Award. The foundings of his work show that black men and boys not only experience racism, but are targets of extreme levels of dehumanization and violence because of their maleness. Um, yeah. Oh yeah. We always we dehumanize. Like yeah. That goes back many years ago when chattel slavery was a thing in the United States. Violence. Yeah. Um, yeah. Because yeah, violence, police brutality. Like George Floyd. Like the other guy. What's his name? He experienced violence too. Damn, slip on my. It's so many, man. First, we briefly summarizes the results of 6 studies. Then we discuss their meanings and implications, and the difficulty of black men escaping the effects of racism, and with the added layer of gender known as racial misandry, gendered or sexualized racism. You know, these I ain't gonna click on these because this gonna be a short one because I gotta get to something else. In the National Survey of American Life Study, black boys from the wealthiest families were the most depressed. See, that is crazy. I think this has a lot of issues because I believe that usually when you're a wealthy black person, you live within the white. I hate to say it like this, but the wealthy white areas. So like if you come around your peers, they look down on you. They think you're stuck up, which a lot of people that are wealthy are probably cool as hell. It's just, you know, if you poor and working class, you come from a poor and working class family, you know, you given a perception of all those bougie, them bougie ass black folks, they think they better than us, man, then those are the ones that get, probably probably how you say it, probably, obviously they get according to the study they get depressed, but you know this not discriminated based on their financial status, which is not unusual. The study too says in a study that followed 1,200 black and white people for 25 years. For black men, the highest educational credentials were associated with an increase rather than a decrease in depressive symptoms. Wow, that's pretty crazy. So the higher status you are as a black man, the more the more the greater chance of you being depressive. Wow. It shows you money isn't everything, man. Money can't buy you happiness. Study 3, in a national representative sample of U.S. adults, black men with the highest income have the highest risk of depression, specifically major depressive disorder, which we found that interpersonal discrimination or people discrimination one-on-one was not a reason. Interesting. Study 4. Probably gonna go through all these, but I'm pretty sure you get the gist. In another study, 700 black adolescents were followed for 2 decades in Flint, Michigan. Perceived racial discrimination was measured in 1999 and 2002. We found discrimination during adolescence was a predictor of depressive symptoms as individuals transition to young adulthood decades later. But this case for black males, not black females. Yeah. Typically, I think right here, black males are more put into situations, more into out there than females. Like, study 5. In a study in Flint, we found that an increase in perceived neighborhood fear, defined as being scared of the crime and violence in the neighborhood, was associated with an increase in depressive symptoms for black males, but not for black females. Study 6. Our final research for studying implicit bias, or when people without their conscious knowledge hold stereotypes about others. Like I told y'all earlier, if you're a wealthy black person, it's typically a stereotype. You bougie, you stuck up, you look down on others, or Our study applied data in the implicit associating test, which measure how our brain struggles to match black faces with positive terms. Of nearly 450,000 individuals, we found that white men hold higher implicit bias against black people than white women do. Interesting. This is troubling because white men have the highest level of political power and make up the majority of police. Oh, we know about that. Judges, lawyers, and people who make hiring and promotion decisions. White men are most likely to be the ones to write the rules and laws. Implicit bias is still bias, and it too can be a factor in black men's oppression. Yeah, no matter how much money you make, the police pull you over, um, and they still would discriminate you. You don't smoke, you don't have no drugs in the car. You following the law, and you guys know what I'm talking about, man. Um, yeah. Um, the criminal injustice system is made up to incriminate black people anyway. So the 13th Amendment um, didn't abolish slavery. In the prison industrial complex, slavery is it's hella. Black men singled out, and many other studies show similar findings. Black men, of course, are disproportionately shot and killed by police more than black women. Of course, black men are stopped, arrested, and jailed more, and significantly overrepresented in U.S. prisons. We are 30% of the we 15% of the population and make up half of the prison system. Make that make sense. Black men are 6 times more likely than white men to spend more time in prison. This increased risk for black men is highest when they are tall and large. Yeah, I noticed that too. One story deserves particular attention. The famous Gender Matters 2. It shows black boys and girls in 8th and 11th grades differed in their perception of peer and classroom discrimination. For boys, harmed their grades, attitudes, and their regarded for the importance of school. For girls, however, the effects generally had a positive impact. In other words, race alone may not be the issue here. Instead, it is the issue of race and gender that may stem from hopelessness, inequality, and blocked opportunities. Together, these studies provide disturbing pictures of the challenges that black males face, and they show the burden that black men bear when some whites wonder, what's the big deal? Racism was 150 years ago. Oh man, it's just systemic racism that's dominating the sphere now. That's just sheer ignorance if you think that racism was over. I remember Mitch McConnell said that he said one time, "Hey, we got a black president." Obama was president at the time. "Oh, we got a black president. Racism don't exist no more." See, just ignorant ass motherfuckers. What ended 150 years ago was slavery, not racism. And our research suggests that black men experience this racism in distinct ways. Many of the racist ideas white Americans have of black people are driven by negative stereotypes white Americans have of black men. We are more violent, sexual, promiscuous, and dangerous than other race sex groups. This dynamic is so strong that hearing the names of black men that can lead to fight or flight response in white males. And also, too, a recent study found that armed black and white women are less threatening than unarmed black males to white Americans. Of course, yeah, that's not big of excuse me, y'all. That's not a big of a surprise. This been happening for ages now. The big scary black dude, oh God, he's probably nice and cool as fuck, but to the white person they say, oh, he's a fucking criminal. Then they call the police on him. Then he wonder why he got a police call on him. Then yeah, I know what the police do. Probably shoot him. The reality of racism in the U.S. makes black males peculiarly targeted by lethal violence, police homicide, and economic downward mobility. And according to our studies, regardless of their economic success and personal ambitions, black males are still perceived as more threatening and dangerous than their female counterparts. Black men issues overlooked. Unfortunately for us all, it has primarily been the dead black male body that drives our that understandings of racism against black men and boys in the United States. And one thing that crazy me when the George Floyd thing happened in 2020, you know, even before George Floyd, like black men always been murdered by police. Just this was a particular time in history where we had a pandemic. People weren't working. Some people weren't working. People were more able to pay attention to that situation, than the prior situations. That's the only difference. But yeah, you know, um, yet racism stalks black men every day of their lives, dehumanizing them, decreasing their quality of life, and even shortening their lives. Black men live on average 4 fewer years than white men. That's also got to do with the economic issue. Typically, black people are more poor than white men. And also too, like I said in my other live stream, I'm pretty sure white areas have grocery stores that have healthy food. If you in a black area, especially in the South, it's food deserts everywhere. Rite Aid or CVS that sells junk food. No, that's detrimental to your health. See what I'm saying? So, it's environmental issues too. That's like what they call it, environmental racism. That's a thing too. Efforts to escape racism, efforts such as gaining education and earning more money, force them to question their own worth. Yeah, I thought that too. I thought, hey, if I go to college, get an education, put a name out there for myself, maybe the man will maybe the man would, what I'm talking about, respect me more. But hell, people found out that no matter how much money you make as a black person, you will still be labeled as a violent, evil, despicable person. But goodness, we believe solutions are based not just on renaming streets, but to acknowledge without blaming black men. How discrimination contributes to blocked opportunities, the lack of jobs, and the use of lethal aggression against that group. Although this piece focuses highly on highly educated and high-income black men, this problem is not only the problem of the most elite and successful black men. The disproportionate struggles that successful black men have with depression does not indicate their weakness, but instead their vulnerability, and how racism has vastly different consequences for them compared to black women and other groups. Said differently, the consequences of the higher rates of homicide, incarceration, and unemployment against the black male group has existential consequences for many black men and black boys and individuals. So that's it of that. Well, that's a good read right there. So yeah, man. I tell any black man, there's nothing wrong with, getting an education, improving yourself, but remember this: you will still get discriminated. You'll still get targeted. No matter what your income bracket is. And also too, the Democrats. See, this brings politics into this. The Democrats, the reason why they're losing the black male vote is because black men are getting ignored. We've been ignored for hella amount of years now, and you motherfuckers never do shit for us until Kamala Harris wrote that whack ass agenda for black men. Wow, give us weed, give us cryptocurrency, and give us a loan that we don't have to pay back. Like, we need more than that. We need way more than that. Hell, black folks need more than that. That's ridiculous. How about housing for all, Kamala? How about a thriving wage? How about Medicare for all? You say you got some kind of health initiative to help or target the diseases that affect black men. Well, if you just provide black men and every other person Medicare for all, you wouldn't need no fucking special program. Like, come on, man. See, they just threw that shit on the goddamn PDF file and and let just for us to read it, you know. It's not gonna mean shit. So yeah, black men are tired of this, man. A lot of black men try to improve their life, then they realize that, hey, this system don't give a fuck about you. It don't give a fuck about me, and that's why I became a communist Marxist, because the system needs to change. Like, racism. Racism is a form of. I look at racism more of as a distraction to divide us, because those racist ass whites and the poor ass blacks, them blacks, we got a lot in common. Like, the government both fucking us over, but over time, the Southern strategy, and then really before that, but the Southern strategy, to make black folks seem they lazy, they just criminals, they, that's even back then they wanted to distract us. So yeah, I'm done talking about this now. The second story I have, let me see. This is from a guest that's going to come on the ATP network. He told me to check this out, to talk about it on here, which is I'm cool with, because y'all, I need some content to look at. Give me a minute, guys. Share my screen. It's got to load. Hold on. The name of it is, "Do Socialists and Anarchists Want the Same Thing? Abolishing state. State equals product of class solidarity." Interesting. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. I'm gonna make it bigger. Okay. Now I'm gonna play it. Some of it. I'm not gonna play all of it out of respect of them. Go check out their YouTube channel. What's the name of their channel? What's the name of it? Socialism for All, Intensify Class Struggle. Go subscribe to them, man. They're almost at 27,000 subscribers. Yeah, man. So go subscribe to them, man, and learn something new. So let me start this over from the beginning. Let's see. Screen shared. Okay. Here we go.
Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is December 29, 2021. Happy end of year holidays. It's hard with the Omicron variant surging right now. We're going to have a video on that probably tomorrow. There's a lot to cover. In the meantime, though, in this video, we're going to take a look at a common question or sentiment that gets posted that people get confused about, which is, why don't Marxists and anarchists get along better or agree more, since basically it is posed Marxists and anarchists want the same things. We just have, quote, different ways of going about.
Exactly. That's the problem. That's the point. We have the same things. It's just, I think, if I'm a Marxist, obviously. I think it's just the strategy. I think, it's the strategy, but I'm going to let it continue.
About it or trying to achieve it. I think that that's basically not really that true. I actually started out Socialism for All trying to do more of a left unity channel, and you can see that in the early videos. I have a black and red flag with the hammer and sickle over it, and I found that it didn't work, because really anytime you do anything Marxist, the anarchists start screaming tanky and statist and all this other kind of stuff. And
yeah, it's propaganda. It's propaganda. That's what it is. When you had a hammer and sickle and you say you're a communist, people like, oh, communist? Oh, no. Even my cousin on TikTok, I said I'm a communist. He said, communism? What the hell? And I had to make a response video to him. Hopefully he got it. I don't know, but yeah, man. Maybe. Well, I'm gonna continue. Then I get my thoughts. Let me let this play out a little bit more before I say something else.
It didn't work, and really the channel, the whole thing that I was trying to do was coming more from a Marxist place. So I was like, okay, well, since clearly this is a one or the other deal, we're dropping the anarchism. That is not the priority. While yes, this channel is obviously, anybody can watch it, whether you're conservative or anarchist or whatever you are, you can watch this channel. It's Socialism for All, and learn more about socialism. That's the idea. We put it out here to be an educational resource. In a time of massive crisis for capitalism, people really do, I believe, sincerely, need to learn these things and need to start adjusting our actions, getting organized in support of concerted, strategic confrontations with capital, which can actually result in socialists actually taking power. So that's the idea. Now, the last video that I put up on the channel is like a 4.25-hour audiobook of Stalin's The Foundations of Leninism, which, first of all, if you haven't read that text or listened to an audiobook.
See, this is what I want to say, though, about, the theory thing. Like, instead of attacking, my friend for not prioritizing theory, like, do what this guy did. Like, he made an audiobook talking about it for 4.5 hours. Like, maybe instead of attacking her, make a YouTube channel, read theory, then, you can ask her to promote it or read it herself, She said she prefer audiobook, because a lot of times people ain't got time to read theory and all that shit. Like people work. Like, people got obligations. People got kids to take care of. Family members to take care of. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, because you got a lot of time in your hands to be attacking my friend, don't mean that she has the time to read theory. I'm just saying. Like,
book, go check it out right away. Really, that would be definitely in my top 10 for texts. I like it a lot. It's a very good summary of the major points of Lenin's contributions to socialism. And in the course of recording that audiobook, as I do, I will sometimes interject comments or help listeners to digest the information, give a little bit of discussion so that people can, grab on to what we're listening to and talking about and try to apply it and understand it in the context of our lives. That is the reason that we do history and theory, is to solve present-day problems facing us currently. So one of the topics that is discussed in the Foundations of Leninism is Marxist-Leninist attitudes towards the state and the capitalist state versus the socialist state. And in the process of having this discussion, I made some comments which a commenter said they found very helpful as a beginner to this whole material. And they suggested that I break it out into its own video. So without further ado, here are my comments on this topic, excerpted from the Stalin's Foundations of Leninism video. The clip starts with some quotations, first from Stalin, and then Stalin quoting Lenin, speaking about the nature of the proletarian revolution and the dictatorship of the proletariat, and then comparing what we would call today like a social democratic government, or in that time the government of the Mensheviks, versus what the Bolsheviks had in mind in terms of tearing down the bourgeois state and then replacing it with a proletarian state. Here you go. Continuing and developing Marx's idea still further, Lenin wrote, quote, "It will be necessary, under the dictatorship of the proletariat, to re-educate millions of peasants and small proprietors, hundreds of thousands of office employees, officials, and bourgeois intellectuals, to subordinate them all to the proletarian state and to proletarian leadership, to overcome their bourgeois habits and traditions," unquote, just as we must, quote, "in a protracted struggle waged on the basis of the dictatorship of the proletariat, re-educate the proletarians themselves, who do not abandon their petty bourgeois prejudices at one stroke, by a miracle, at the bidding of the Virgin Mary, at the bidding of a slogan, resolution, or decree, but only in the course of a long and difficult mass struggle against mass petty bourgeois influences," unquote. It's from left-wing.
Wow, so basically he's saying that, hey, educate. This is why, this is why independent media, that's communist, Marxist, that's why we exist. You educate the masses, because they are being influenced to think that the way things are running now is meant to happen. Maybe they're not working hard enough, or maybe, they should have did this or did that better, but it's not their fault. It's corporate greed, this capitalist system, and Lenin was right. Like, yeah, you trying to replace I was just going to talk in present terms. Replace the evil capitalist state with a more communist Marxist state. Like, simple as that.
Communism. 2. The dictatorship of the proletariat as the rule of the proletariat over the bourgeoisie. From the foregoing, it is evident that the dictatorship of the proletariat is not a mere change of personalities in the government, a change in the cabinet, so to speak, leaving the old economic and political order intact. The Mensheviks, and opportunists of all countries, who fear dictatorship like fire, and in their fright substitute the concept, quote, conquest of power for the concept of dictatorship, usually reduce this conquest of power to a change of the cabinet, to the accession to power of a new ministry made up of people like Scheidemann and Noska, MacDonald and Henderson. It is hardly necessary to explain that these and similar cabinet changes have nothing in common with the dictatorship of the proletariat, with the conquest of real power by the real proletariat. With the MacDonalds and Scheidemanns in power, while the old bourgeois order is allowed to remain, their so-called governments cannot be anything else than an apparatus serving the bourgeoisie, a screen to conceal the ulcers of imperialism, a weapon in the hands of the bourgeoisie against the revolutionary movement of the oppressed and exploited masses. Capital needs such governments as a screen when it finds it inconvenient, unprofitable.
See, the government's a facade for the capitalists. Like, hey, put the government to make the government look like, hey, we run shit, but actually we serve our corporate oligarchs. See what he getting there. Like, yeah, this is why I started reading theory, for myself, because I don't want to be on this thing looking crazy for you guys, at least have a little bit of knowledge to back up my points, so I look more validated. But again, I'm continuing.
Profitable, difficult to oppress and exploit the masses without the aid of a screen. Of course, the appearance of such governments is a symptom that, quote, over there, i.e. in the capitalist camp, all is not quiet at the Shipka Pass. Nevertheless, governments of this kind inevitably remain governments of capital in disguise. There's a footnote there on the Shipka Pass. This is a Russian saying carried over from the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 to 78. There was heavy fighting at the Shipka Pass, but the Tsarist headquarters, in their communiques, reported, all quiet at the Shipka Pass. Back to the text. The government of a MacDonald or a Scheidemann is as far removed from the conquest of power by the proletariat as the sky from the earth. The dictatorship of the proletariat is not a change of government, but a new state, with new organs of power, both central and local. It is the state of the proletariat, which has arisen on the ruins of the old state, the state of the bourgeoisie. Quick comment there. Some people have trouble with this concept. The idea of the proletarian revolution is you are destroying the bourgeois state, or as Lenin referred to it in The State and Revolution, the parasite state.
Which is the United States now. The current governmental system is a parasite state.
And then replacing it with a new government of...
Basically a government that, puts the labor, gives the power of the power of the labor back to the people, or the power of the company back to the people.
And for workers. The purpose of that state, the proletarian state, is to supervise and oversee and ensure the building of socialism. That's the point of it. Because it is a state, anarchists will frequently oppose this on principle. However, it has a decidedly different function than the bourgeois state, whose purpose is to maintain and oversee capitalism, to expand imperialism, and so forth. The proletarian state, while it is a state, has a different purpose. It is not a good idea to just oppose this on the anarchist principle of state bad. The idea in socialism is that the more that socialism is developed, the less that the state is concerned with the government of people and more just with the administration of things. and that eventually it ceases to be entirely. This is quite different from the anarchist concept of abolish the state now, no matter what state of development society or the class struggle is in. Abolish it now and keep it abolished and just sort of do your thing. That's not really workable. Marx and Engels were frequent critics of this idea. There were anarchists back in their day, and they made many unfavorable responses to them. A lot of times you'll hear people today who I think oftentimes just haven't read that much or enough, at least on the subject. They will say, and like I said, I think sometimes innocently, and it's coming from a good place, but they'll say, Marxists and anarchists both want the same thing, why fight? Actually, it's very different. It's not just enough to say, well, we have the common goal of abolishing the state. It's not really the goal of Marxism.
Anarchists, in my opinion, I think it's more like, see, Marxists want to change the shit. Anarchists want to, what you saying? Want to clean shit. I just say that. That's why I think.
It's something that happens through the building of socialism and achieving the theoretical end state of communism that has not been reached yet because imperialism is still very much in existence on the planet. But that's not really what animates a Marxist to do what we're doing. Capitalism is both unjust to workers, it's based on exploitation and alienation. It's also a limit to the further development of industry. Capitalism, just because of the business cycle, the boom-bust cycle, and the nature of the bourgeoisie funneling off profits and directing industry for profit, it's a real cap on how industry can develop and society along with it. So we want to take all of this development to the next stage and make the economy more reliable,
And also, too, why is it that these corporate oligarchs that run these corporations, why they make the decisions for the people when the people are actually on the ground doing the work? Like, another reason why communism should exist is that, the workers know what they need, maybe to improve the workflow or improve, production. Like, you'll let some motherfucker from up in the ivory tower say, either make it more harder on you or, make it even worse, the conditions worse for you to work, rather than the person doing the work to say, hey man, we need more manpower, or hey, we need more, another technique, stuff like that, yeah, I just had to put that in there too as well.
people's lives less precarious, make people's lives more dignified. And that does mean that we have to revolt against the bourgeoisie. That's required because the bourgeoisie are otherwise going to hold things as the way they are now.
The way things are continuing, when you're talking about the bourgeois, they call them bourgeoisie. Yeah, because of our labor and our production, these motherfuckers are damn near going to turn into trillionaires. So, like, I remember I heard that like 3 or 4 years ago, like trillionaires. Like, what the fuck? Despite the CARES Act being the biggest transfer of wealth in history. But, yeah. And meanwhile, the minimum wage in the United States is still $7.25 an hour. And people are working at these jobs and living in their cars. Like, one of my friends showed a TikTok video of these Disney workers have to perform and put on a smile for the kids and the adults, and they're homeless living in their cars. And Disney becoming a monopoly at this point. They brought Marvel and these other smaller entities, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but your workers are fucking homeless. Like, this is why the system needs to burn, and communism needs to reign.
And that's not acceptable for a host of reasons. But the idea that animates a Marxist is not hierarchy must be flattened as like priority one. That is something that will happen in the course of developing socialism, but it's not the day one thing. That said, following a socialist revolution, usually all kinds of new rights are granted that previously didn't exist under the bourgeoisie. So there is a sort of quantum.
Right. New rights like, 100% worker co-ops in these corporations. You know, everybody is entitled to a house. Everybody's entitled to food. Like that's a new system will look like, post-capitalist, the post-capitalist system. Like,
Leap on day one. But the idea of just abolishing the state, not so much. All right, let's get back to the text. Okay, so that's the end of the clip. Now, I apologize for including several minutes of quotations which may or may not have clicked with people. However, I thought it was important for setting the stage, and also I'd like to make a few additional comments about that now. So the dictatorship of the proletariat, following the proletarian revolution, and basically the beginning of this process of building socialism, which really only occurs after the proletarian revolution. Lenin describes this in part as a process of waging war against mass petty bourgeois individualist influences. So this is super important because what is anarchism basically? It is an ideology which is all about the individual. And they say, all rights, all privileges to the individual. Marxism, and this is something that Stalin also talks about in Anarchism or Socialism, also wants to give rights and privileges to the individual, but through their membership in the working class. So Marxism says everything to the masses, which of course, the masses, that's composed of individuals. But anarchism, again, it just puts the individual first. I would encourage you to check out that text for more on this topic. And in fact, we do have a playlist, Marxists on Anarchism, and I'll link that in the video description, or you can just find it from the playlists tab. But basically, Lenin and Stalin and other communists have described anarchism as a petty bourgeois ideology, in part because anarchists don't want to give up these individualist prejudices.
right. So, like I said, anarchists just they don't want to actually change the entire system, but they basically, I'm trying to say this in, slow Andre terms. Basically, they trying to say, I don't want to give up my, I want to give up my individualism, but I'm willing to change that and that and that and that. Marxism is tear the whole shit apart. You see what I'm saying? Anarchism have Marxism, social, it's the whole, the whole thing, tear the whole thing down. I bet some of y'all say this nigga slow as hell. Yeah.
Habits, they fight for them, and they fight against communists to have them. So you could have a dictatorship of the proletariat, building a proletarian state to oversee the process of creating socialism. You'll have anarchists fighting it because it's fundamentally not the thing that they want. So anyway, there are different subtypes of anarchism. There's red and black. There's just plain old black. Some anarchists are more social in their ideology. Others are just purely individualistic, almost antisocial. So you can't lump all anarchists in together. Speaking more to anarcho-communists, more pro-social anarchists, I know that some people have adopted these in large part due to basically propaganda about what the USSR was or other communist projects. Part of my hope in running Socialism for All is putting out more material on what actually there is within the real world legacy of Marxism, and showing people it's not as scary or as twisted as you think. And in fact, a lot of the ideas that anarchists would seem to embrace, like workers' councils, literally that's what a Soviet means. It means council. Trying to actually learn the history, you may find that you like it more than you think.
Yeah, like if people actually had the time to understand Marxism, in the way that you and I, mostly people watching probably are Marxists alongside me, but, if the average American, had the time to understand communism and Marxism, then they'll say, damn, there's some good shit here, but the reason why they hear the propaganda is because the proletariat knows that these are good. Communism, with if it's used in theory, if it's used actually not in theory, but put the work, it'll fucking work. See, they know that, so they demean communism. They demean the Soviet Union era of Russia, like, you know, the USSR. You know, they demean that. They say that, these folks have no rights. And all that stuff. Yeah, manufacturing consent.
Think. And that a lot of the bad things that happened in socialist countries, particularly as they were trying to get established, probably couldn't have been avoided by anarchists either. No matter, how tightly you cling to your ideology, there's just only so much you can do in the real world. Socialists absolutely want to maximize that. And, all the claims of like authoritarianism, first of all, most of this is capitalist propaganda. Nobody really wants authoritarianism for its own sake. And then most of the time, where there is any.
But if people say that communism is a form of authoritarianism, how is giving power back to the workers authoritarian? Hell, this capitalist system is authoritarian. Like, workers get a few rights, but they don't hardly get any more rights. Like see how they, see how I'm coming together. This shit, all this shit is coming together. Oh my goodness.
Any truth to that. It's specifically to combat capitalism and to defend against imperialist counter-revolution and so forth, as well as Lenin said here, to combat petty bourgeois habit and petty bourgeois individualist mass influence. To anarchists, I would say definitely look in the mirror on that one. Finally, and probably most importantly out of all this, I would say in closing that from a Marxist perspective, and this is, again, just really fundamental, the state is a product of class society. And without ending class society, you can't get rid of the state. So as much as anarchists want to do this, just by decree, it cannot be done, because if you're not eliminating the basis which gave rise to the state, it's going to come back again in another form. You might not like that there are other steps to the process, which you may or may not see in your lifetime, but it doesn't really change the fact that there is a historical process, at least according to us Marxists, that you have to go through first if you want to change the conditions in society so that you don't get a regrowth of the state, if really that is that important to you. I mean, again, as I said in the comment in the clip, that's not really like the highest priority for Marxists, although it is something that.
So basically what he's saying is, like, the way anarchists want to go by it is, it's not going to be as effective if they decide to come over to the Marxist side, in terms of trying to fight the state. Because basically anarchism is basically just like a 1 to 2 issue type of thing, in my opinion. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit more of this. I'm not gonna play all of this. Probably a few more minutes and I'll close this out.
Comes out of the process which we are fighting for. Ultimately, I would say that Marxism is more about ending the alienation and exploitation, which is a part of capitalism, and then, moving through socialism, which still contains vestiges of the old capitalist system in some respects, and moving on to a more peaceful, equitable, just, etc. future, where we have ended the class struggle. But anarchists will often cite, for example...
Well, to improve my knowledge of anarchism, the definition, this is from Merriam-Webster. I got it right here on my phone. It says, a person who rebels against any authority, established order, or ruling power. And number 2, the second definition is a person who believes in, advocates, or promotes anarchism or anarchy, especially uses violence means to overthrow the established order. See, any order, like, but Marxism basically saying, like, overthrow everything, not one particular. See, the difference between anarchy is like one particular thing versus Marxism. You want to overthrow the whole entire shit and start a new system that helps the people. And anarchism, the definition of that is a political theory holding all forms of governmental authority to be unnecessarily and undesirably advocating for society based on voluntary cooperation and free association of individuals or groups. So, yeah, man. Yeah, Marxism is the way. It's the only way at this point.
Hunter-gatherer societies as examples of, stateless societies. Marxists would fully agree with this. But what's the catch? Well, those societies, at one point in human history, everywhere in the world was hunter-gatherer. This was, in Marxist terms, prior to the beginning of class struggle. In Marxism, we study historical materialism. Basically, you can divide up the class struggle into a number of major modes of production, like the most recent one being capitalism, with socialists fighting.
A good example of anarchy is like during the COVID pandemic. I think it happened in Michigan. A bunch of anti-maskers or some shit like that went up to Capitol, the state capitol, I guess where that governor lived at, and or the state legislature, whatever they went to. That's anarchism in a way. Like you're thinking, oh, they controlling where we go, what we wear on our face, or what we take. That's one example, but okay.
For socialism while capitalism persists. Prior to capitalism was feudalism, and it goes back, there's a couple of other major modes of production. But before all of this was hunter-gatherer society, or, quote, primitive communism. The problem is, how do you have a history where people have come out of hunter-gatherer society, developed agriculture, developed cities, developed high technology, and then move through all of that while hopefully holding on to, hot running water and other technological advances like that, and emerge out the other side of that with also a stateless society? Well, the struggle for that is the struggle for communism. But we don't want to just regress to hunter-gatherer existence. There's really a lot that industrial technology can do for us. However, how do you get from here to there? Well, you have to address the underlying process of class struggle. Without addressing and resolving the contradictions within class society, you cannot have the basis for a stateless society. I think that there's a lot of anarchists walking around today with kind of a backwards understanding of it, literally in terms of backwards meaning cause and effect are swapped. Yes, the capitalist state is there to maintain and oversee capitalism and its expansion. So in other words, it's there to enforce private property rights and the exploitation that flows from them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But without laying the basis of a new society not based on private property, using the proletarian state to do that, which again eventually achieves its goal of building socialism and having a society not based on private property, one which does not have need for a state as we have known it, and it changes form again and again and again, and as many times as is needed in the process of continued class struggle for more and more advanced phases of socialism, which do not require a state as we know it today, as I'm sitting here recording this thing, for their maintenance and administration. But you just take away the state now, and what happens? Capitalists will just restore things. So anyway, food for thought if you're new to all these ideas.
So yeah, y'all, very great episode of his channel, man. Check it out again. Let me see. But damn, man, I'm just not thinking today. Let me see. He changed his name. It used to be Socialism for All, but now it's Socialism for All Intensified Class Struggle. That's the name of his channel, man. Great work. I'm supposed to have him on my show on Tea Time with Andre and TP on the 4th of November. So that should be a very interesting conversation, man. It's so many people online, Twitter, YouTube. They're just so intelligent, man. Like, they you can tell that they read theory, but what they do is, they apply the theory to situational reasoning. That's what you're supposed to do. Instead of demeaning people who don't read theory. Like, again, everybody doesn't have to read theory and know everything about theory. Like, the basic common knowledge of Marxists and communists is class solidarity, changing the system from within. Yeah. So yeah, y'all. I gotta go. I gotta record another show. I hope I don't have this guy waiting too long. So thank you guys for watching the Good Faith Show with Andre.